So as I was reading over my sermon again this morning, I realized that I'm starting out with kind of a strange question for a day when we have frozen water falling from the sky. And that is, have you ever been really hot and very, very thirsty? You know, that time when your mouth feels kind of sandy and sticky, and your skin has that parched, kind of crispy feel. I remember once when I was on a bike tour of eastern Colorado, southeastern Colorado, and I had this experience. For some reason, I decided to go in July, and I was biking along this road that was straight, it was flat, it was treeless, and it was very, very hot. And I went through all my water. And by the end, I was drinking that kind of lukewarm, gross stuff you get in your water bottle. And I was so happy to finally get into this little small town where I knew there was a restaurant that catered to bicyclists. And I walked into this place, and the one waitress there, who was probably also the owner, she pointed me to a table, and without saying a word, she appeared not with a glass of water, or not even a pitcher of water, but 2 pitchers of ice cold water. It was the best thing I think I've ever drunk. When I read our text from Isaiah, I sometimes have to think of that experience, because I sometimes think that this water must be a little glimpse of what our prophet promises to his audience. Yes, things are bad now, he says. And indeed, for those to whom he was speaking, they were, but sometime, God will come and give us not just what we need, but more than we could ever possibly expect. It won't just be relief from suffering, but abundance. He doesn't just say the lame will walk. He says the lame will leap like a deer. And he doesn't say those who are speakers will talk, but they will sing for joy. He will bring overflowing blessings, more than we could possibly ever expect. Think about that. God will not only take away our pain, but actually bring us happiness. It will be pitcher upon pitcher of ice-cold water that we can drink as we walk on that holy way to Zion. So I ask you, how many of you today feel like we're walking along that holy way? That really straight, flat, easily discernible path. Although we know that God keeps his promises and has given us salvation through the birth of his Son, don't we often feel like we're still picking our way along a dry, dusty, barely discernible path, and we're not entirely always sure we're going in the right direction? Now, we walk with faith, but wouldn't it be really nice if every once in a while we could have some confirmation? Some confirmation, some sign that things are actually going in the way that God has promised. Yes, Christ has died. Yes, Christ is risen. Yes, we know that Christ will come again. But after all, there's still pain in the world. People we love still get sick and they die. There is still war. I recently read an article about the ongoing siege in Aleppo, where there are no more hospitals left. Greed is still rampant. Violence is rampant. People like Dylan Roof, who walked into a church last year and killed 9 people, laugh about his actions. In the face of this, do we ever wonder if God will show up? As we read our gospel reading today, I sometimes wonder if John had a few fleeting thoughts like that in prison. You know, John, who recognized Jesus while he was still in the womb. You know, John, who preached baptism. John, who called people to repentance. John, who prophesied the coming of Christ, saying he was one much greater than he himself. John, who actually baptized Christ, and John, who must have seen the dove descend from heaven, and must have heard that voice proclaim, "This is my son." And John sits in prison and says, "Are you really the one?" Now Jesus answers, "Well, look at the evidence. The lame walk, the blind see, the lepers are healed." And on cynical days, it's pretty easy for us to imagine John writing back and saying, "Well, yippee for the blind and the lame and the lepers and the deaf and the poor. And thank you for all your nice words about my work in the desert. Have you noticed I'm still in prison?" More often, though, I hope we think that John sat there and he thought, wow, the lepers are healed. There's good news for the poor. The lame walk, the blind see. And I get to be part of that. Because sometimes we have to remember that God uses people when God needs to get things done. Today, we placed Mary and Joseph in our nativity scene. And in some years, this is the Sunday where we read of Gabriel's visit to Mary and Mary's subsequent statement to Elizabeth where she says, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior." But we also read that Mary was perplexed and unsure. And how could she not be? Remember, Mary was a teenager. A teenager living in a time when out-of-wedlock pregnancy could ruin a woman's life. And we know that Joseph wasn't exactly leaping for joy about this either. But the thing is, Mary said, okay. This teenager who could not possibly fathom what was going to happen to her, she accepted this call, and she became the mother of God. And John, too. John went out and he preached and he baptized and he ate locusts and he wore camel hair. And in the depths of his doubts, Jesus assured him, "The lame walk and the blind see and the lepers are healed. And you, John, you get to be part of that story." I don't think it's unusual for us as Christians to sometimes feel a little lost and a little unsure. But when we do, we look at John and Joseph and Mary, and we look at that nativity, and we look at the font, and we look at the table, and we look at the cross. And then, we walk out of our sanctuary and we look around us. And we see people like Tamara John, who lives now in an RV park and heads up the 1001 new worshiping community there. That's called Hope for Life Chapel. Now, the interesting thing about Tamara is when she actually moved into the park, she knew nothing about living in an RV. And in fact, her first contacts were with people who came to help her because they thought she needed some information before she actually got seriously hurt. And we see people like Tina Wu and her husband Moses, who started a new worshiping community in Dubuque. Tina was finishing up her master's degree, and she and Moses were planning on going back to Taiwan, but they had no idea what they were going to do there because they hadn't gotten a church. And then Tina met a woman in the grocery store who kept pushing her and saying, "You need to start a Chinese language worshiping community right here in Dubuque." And that's what they did. And now they have brought together residents and exchange students, and they worship every week. And we look at people like Jennifer Sarusko in Idaho, who has pledged to walk 1,000 miles in 2016. And I've been following her on the internet. I think she's almost there. She just has a few big walks to do. But she did this to bring awareness for the need for clean water and clean water supply throughout the world. But she's found in the process that she has achieved greater joy and health and friendship. You see, God called these people to do something, but in the process, God showed up for them as well. One of my favorite things about our text from Isaiah is the fact that all of creation will be renewed. The desert will bloom. The burning sand will change into a cool pool. If you think about it, our entire context, our environment will be made new. And what if we recognize, though, that in some small way, we get to participate in that? And what if we recognize that in that participation, we ourselves are changed? And what if we looked upon discipleship not as something that is a duty or even a call, but an opportunity to grow into something that we could never before fathom being? Okay, sure. Most of the time, we're not entirely sure that we're doing the right thing. And sometimes we feel a little lost. But we walk with faith. And when we put our trust in God, and when we say, okay, I can do this, amazing things result. The third Sunday of Advent is the time when we often celebrate joy. That's kind of our theme for today. And it's really easy for us to concentrate on all those things that kill our joy. But maybe we should take some time to look to see where joy is being renewed in the world. We should open our eyes to see what God is doing, and then remember that we as disciples, we get to do that with God. Isn't that incredible? We too, like Mary and Joseph and John and Tamara and Tina and Moses and Jennifer, we too get to work in this world. Sure, there are still jackals, but we get to chase them away. Sure, the sand might still be hot, but we get to start preparing the way with God. And in that place, and in that practice, we just might find ourselves in a place of beauty. So let us give thanks then. Let us give thanks for the joy that we as a church get to work in the world, as well as for the promise of yet greater things to come. All glory, honor to you. Amen.